Okay, I think we're live. I think we're live. I think I did it. I was just had a panicked phone call with producer Dave Hewitt, and I think we are in fact live. Uh, let's see. Is this better? Is this microphone I'm using? Oh well, we'll figure it out. Nubs says hey, so at least we know it's working. That's good. Dave Hewitt says I hear you. That's good. Does it seem to be this microphone? Hey, Nick Balfour. Hey, Casey. Hey, John. What is up? Hello. Welcome. No, it's not that microphone. I wonder if there's a way I can change it. Does it matter? I guess if you can hear me, it doesn't matter. Hey, Lindsay. Lindsay, I haven't seen you in a while. We're all quarantined. Hi. It's people. Hello. Should I go to Twitter and tell people I'm doing this one more time? I guess I should. I am live streaming on YouTube right now. All right, I just did that. What a good citizen I am. Okay, good. So I'm glad that you can hear me. I don't think I'm using this mic though. I think Dave says not this mic, which if you're hearing me, I guess it doesn't really matter. Mr. Cubs fan says, hey, Big Daddy Chris. Hey, Big Daddy me. Brandon says, hey. Toby says, hey. Another Big Daddy Chris. Oh, is it the same Big Daddy Chris? That was the same one. Everybody should call me Big Daddy from now on. Don't do that, please. That'd be great. Adrian says it sounds great. Jay says, what time is it? And Jay may mean metaphorically, in which case it's possum time. Or else what actual time it is, it's noon Pacific right now. Connor says, please help me. Do I start Big Ben or Carson Wentz? And all I can tell you is I have ranks for single position questions, and I don't remember them, to be honest. Those guys are probably pretty close. I put a lot of time into the ranks, and if I just were to spew right now, I'd be like, I don't know. So go to harrisfootball.com. You'll find those ranks. Casey says possum. Fletcher says possums, because, you can get these T-shirts, by the way. They are for sale. James says, hey. Kevin says, hello from London. Adam says, how about that David Johnson? Yeah, man. Woo! He was really good. I talked about it on the podcast yesterday. Wow. Holy cow. He was really good. A big surprise. He's going to get bumped in the ranks. He looked good. iHeartBeats says, I literally can hear you loud and clear. Daniel says, hey-o. Tim Knight says, missed you. Well, thanks, Tim. That's so nice of you. Imp Star says, good afternoon. Thanks for all your help. Thanks for being here. Dora says, no golf today. I played golf yesterday. It was so bad that I may never play again. It was really bad. But I did play yesterday in the smoke. Wasn't great. KOT says, you're the man. Thank you. Mark says, you blocked me Twitter. I did? I'm sorry, Mark. Were you mean? Email me, heyharris@harrisfootball.com. Owen says, this isn't Film Don't Lie. What's happening? Yeah, we're still going to do Film Don't Lie tomorrow. The reason that I'm doing this now is that we're trying to get you ready for Saturday YouTube content. So if you're a fan of the channel, Saturdays I need to sleep a little bit, but for sure we're going to start doing streaming Saturdays. And I think it's going to be with the Daves, Dave Hewitt, Dave Piper. It's going to be pretty cool. They're basically going to talk about their favorite streaming options for the week. They're going to have little competitions about who does best. It's not living the stream. We're not going to infringe on JJ and Denny, whom I both love very much. Hello, JJ. Hello, Denny. You're not watching, but hi. But it's just going to be talking about their favorite streaming options. But this week there wasn't a lot of streaming, so we thought we'd just get you ready to have me do a little live stream. Let's see. This dumb thing, because I'm a boomer, as you know. This dumb thing ruins the scroll. Let's see. Where there you? Chris says, were there yous in the tweet? Chris, I got a new laptop. The laptop is sweet. It's working. I'm so excited. Yes. So that is good. Dan says, will Minka make an appearance? Minka. She said she's busy. She said no. I don't know. I mean, we'll see if we can get her over here eventually. Let's see. Jeff says, accidentally drafted Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, and Todd Gurley. Who should I try and trade Gurley for? It's awfully tough to make a trade right now. It's awfully tough because, I mean, the answer probably should be someone who got drafted right around him, who you were maybe, that's sort of what you'd be looking for. But I mean, to some degree, I'd say the quarterback is somewhat expendable, and you can live with Ridley and Gurley, right? So maybe Ryan's the one to think about trading. Trading before the season starts is just sort of, why would anybody want to trade with you unless you're willing to take pennies on the dollar, which I wouldn't recommend. So probably tomorrow, I think you're just kind of going into it hoping the Falcons score a lot of points and maybe sort of roll from there, because right now nobody has any information to make trades, right? James says, how is everyone that owns Miles Sanders feeling about staying on him this week? I mean, everyone can answer their personal feelings and opinions on that one, but I don't have him anywhere because I didn't want to spend the first round pick. I don't think you have a lot of choice. I think if he's active, you probably play him, and you just sort of hope. Let's see. Super Bowl prediction, says Alex. I haven't made a Super Bowl prediction, but you're right. I think I maybe made my Super Bowl prediction on this live stream right before the season last year. Who do I think is going to make the Super Bowl? Blah, blah, blah. I think we'll get Baltimore, and I like the Chiefs a lot, but let's just say it's hard to repeat. So I'll say Baltimore, and I'll do it again. New Orleans, Baltimore, New Orleans. I have picked the Saints. I haven't made that bet yet. This reminds me, I have to make a futures bet on the Ravens. Probably not a great return. I'm going to guess the Saints better return. How many humiliating, awful ways can the Saints not make the Super Bowl? I'm always interested by Seattle. I am interested by the 49ers, but it feels like they're going to catch, they're going to get everybody's best time around this time. So I'm a little skeptical about them. I'm going to say Saints, Ravens. Yeah. Sebastian says, I have to know, why is Devin Funchess the copper miner? Yeah, it's stupid, but sometimes dumb things come out of my cake hole. He is what you would call sort of an inconsistent player, a little bit of a flibberty gibbet. He's been hyped a million times in fantasy and has never really delivered. And I never thought he was as good as people thought he was when they were drafting him. So I just sort of made a lineup on the show that was you never know where Devin Funchess is going to be at any given moment. Like, he'll show up, he'll not show up, he'll be on the field, he'll be missing because he went to Bolivia to become a copper miner. It just came out of my mind, and people made songs about it, and it was stupid, right? I say a lot of stupid things, and he became the copper miner. So there he is. He mines copper. Nothing other than being inconsistent. It's like Fournette with the jelly beans in his mouth. That's another one, right? Fournette is going to be on the IR because he has jelly beans in his mouth. Because of course he is. Or else he'll get lost on like a balloon tour of Europe, and you'll be like, "Where's Leonard Fournette?" Oh, he got lost on a balloon tour of Europe. It's tough. Inconsistencies. Adrian says, a flex question, John Brown or Marlon Mack? I think it's a very viable question. I think I would maybe play Mack, but of course, I'm not really buying the talk that maybe Jonathan Taylor will luck into appearing in the second quarter to spell Marlon Mack. I'm not ranking him in that way. I have Taylor higher, but obviously we don't know. Feels like, of course, Brown has the potential to make the one big play. If I played this week out 100 times, my guess is Mac would wind up with more points more times, if that makes sense. Expected value higher, maybe. Let's see. Michael says, what's up, Sir Harris? Thank you, Michael. Jason says, should I wait to trade Will Fuller? I'm not a huge preseason trade guy, to be honest. Like, I'm skeptical of what that performance looked like. I think you might be too. That's why you're asking the question. It's a good question. I like it. I like the thinking, right? You want to sell high. That's the principle of the market, right? But I'll say, it was 4 for 40 until garbage time on Thursday night. But that's not really Will Fuller's fault is that drop on the first play, right? That was on the first drive. That was a terrible drop. He's always going to do that. But I'm not going to blame Will Fuller for going 4 for 40 until garbage time. That offense wasn't functional. It wasn't good, right? And I didn't like the offensive game plan. So I tend to think that stat line is going to make his value be inflated. If someone wanted to treat him like he's wide receiver 10 right now, then sure, I would trade him. My guess is he's not wide receiver 10. I could absolutely be wrong. He could be ready for a monster season. I would generally tend to hold on because usually someone's not going to be like, I saw that Thursday night performance. I see the box score. I'll give you Julio Jones for Will Fuller. Yes, you should probably do that. But usually it feels like that's not going to happen. I might, you drafted him. I might try to ride it out and see if you got something good. Casey says, I drafted Sutton and Galladay. Welcome to the club. Many of us did. I have Sutton in La Liga. I have Galladay in a couple of expert leagues that I have to play out. Yeah, not great. Garrett says, Amari or Gallup, or should I not worry about Ramsey? I mean, I'm going to have Cooper listed as the most startable player. I can't tell you for sure what the Rams are going to do with Jalen Ramsey, whether, a lot of times Jalen Ramsey doesn't, at least in Jacksonville, didn't travel. A lot of times he'd play one side, but they would travel him in big matchups. I mean, he had DeAndre Hopkins legendary showdowns, right? Jalen Ramsey against Hopkins, and sometimes Hopkins would win those. I don't think it would be a reason for me to play Gallup over Cooper. It feels like that would be somewhat overthinking, not knowing for sure. I mean, Ramsey just got paid. He just got a whole lot of money, but did he play well with the Rams last year? I mean, you could argue that he was changing yachts mid-season, as it were, and maybe just wasn't comfortable, and now he will be. But it didn't look like a shutdown corner to me with the Rams at the end of the year. But I take your point. For me, I think it would qualify as overthinking. Let's see. Darien says nice. M. Sloan says Jack Gerbil time. He's not the possum. He's the Jack Gerbil, right? But they're related. The possum likes the gerbil, and I have some possum water vodka here. Should I take a hit? That's great vodka. Do I get my money now, possum? Yeah, he's not paying attention. Let's see. Steven says, do you always trust flag players when you have start and sit decisions? Should I do Mostert or Bell in a half PPR? The answer to the first question is no. I mean, Sutton is the number one flag player, and it's going to be awfully hard to wait for him. No, I think we're allowed to think what we think when we draft and have strong convictions and be really, really interested in players, but get new information and or really hate matchups. We're allowed to zig and zag a little bit. The Bell versus Mostert question, I'm going to guess I have Bell higher in my ranks, but it's possible that they're pretty close. And if you just want to see it first, I'm comfortable with that. I mean, to some degree, the reason Bell winds up being a flag player is less I'm positive he's awesome and more because I can get him in the 5th or 6th round. It's really good value, and I don't have to rely on him as my RB1, as you don't either. Obviously, you're comparing him to Mostert. So it's okay with me if you made a switch. They're close enough that it feels pretty close. But it's a really good question, and my feeling is we don't have to be tied to our opinions. We should not completely just change our minds because Will Fuller posts a good stat line. That's fair. But it's hard to get new information about who's banged up and whose matchup we're scared of. And it's cool. Try not to overreact. Try to balance the new information with the firmly held belief, but it's okay to change, I think. 2 IR slots, says Kurt. Who should I stash out of Alshon Jeffrey, Damian Harris, Raquel Armstead, and Rashad Penny? I guess I would say Alshon and Damian Harris, since Armstead, I don't know how sick he is. I hope he's not really sick. And then Rashad Penny could contribute later, but we know it's a pretty long period of time to recover from a torn ACL. Chris Quick, how you doing, Chris? Says, do I start James White or Devontae Parker? They're in that crossover point where I'm fine. I would say that's what makes it a hard decision. It's a good question. I'm so looking forward to Film Don't Lie tomorrow, and I can say that 100 times. It's the best. If it's me, I probably play White and I make sure I get something. But I mean, Parker completely crushed Stephon Gilmore last time we saw them play against each other. I get how it could go. I said this on the show. I said this maybe on someone else's podcast this week also. This is one where I think Belichick is in that room with his scowl butler, and he is telling those guys, okay, we cannot be Brady's Patriots. We cannot make the Super Bowl. We can not do a lot of things, but what we're going to do? We're going to go kill these guys that ruined our season last year. I took them in the Super Contest, the Patriots. I'm sort of with Cousin Josh, thinking that there's a big win there, and maybe that Gilmore has some revenge on Parker. But obviously I don't know that for sure. A different Chris says, what are you looking for with the Colts backfield in week 1? I have Taylor and Mack. I'm starting Mack, but what are you looking for in week 1 to see? if Taylor will take control. Well, so yeah, I have Taylor rated ahead of Mac, but you know every single bit of information that I do, so I cannot argue with you. I do not know who the right guy is to go. What I'll be looking for is, of course, just how they're deployed, who plays who plays on what downs, who plays early in the game, who plays late in the game, all that stuff. And then I'll just want to see is Taylor, how much of what we saw at Wisconsin translates immediately, right? Because he's just such a special player in college. There have been special college players where it hasn't translated. I think it will, but it's the kind of thing that we know when we see. I mean, a lot of you were probably watching on Thursday night, and we're all going in there going, David Johnson, and then as soon as he starts running, we all go, oh no, we're wrong. That's a problem. Like, he looked fantastic, right? He really did. It's the kind of, I want to see that. I want to see, I know it when I see it. If Jonathan Taylor runs like David Johnson did the other night, and I don't think they're exact equivalents in terms of talent, but if it's that kind of wow type performance, the Colts aren't going to be able to play games. They're going to have to use the dude who helps them the most, right? That's what I'm going to be paying attention to. Joseph says, will you ever put out IDP rankings? I don't really foresee it, to be honest. I play in a very deep IDP league with the CBS guys in their league. I have for years and years, and I really like it. I just don't know that we know. Tackles are just freaking random, man. And they get a little less random as the season goes along. It's true. You start to be able to fall out of love with players that you thought were going to be useful, but it's a lot of work for to do those ranks for a very specialized sort of league that, unfortunately not that many people play. And then also, I'm not sure I would be any good at it. And I'm not sure really anybody is any good at it on a week by week basis. So I'm trying to be honest. The actual answer is I probably am not going to do that. But thank you for asking. Fox, hey Fox, big up to Fox. Fox is the co-creator and runner of the Almanac Giving Program. Give Fox a little bit of love. Galladay and Evans, says Fox. My first two wide receivers are both doubtful. Welcome back to football. Indeed. Al says, what's up? Seven of Spades says, will you share updates on your Dynasty Owner team? I'd be glad to as we go. I'll try to remember here and there. I have to admit that I have a lot of leagues, and running them like with a microscope really isn't possible, a lot of them. So am I going to be the most active in terms of trades and stuff like that? I'd say at first probably not, but I'll do my best to. Dynasty Owners kick ass. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm gonna try to force that one into the inner circle of leagues that I actually am managing more than just when I set my lineups. It's really, I probably have double-digit leagues that I have to play out. And like, poor me, what a terrible problem. My God, my life is so hard. But it's just not possible to, like, let's look at trade offers. Even sometimes waivers is hard to do. Like, I'm lucky if I remember the lineup in some of these leagues. But let's shoot for Dynasty Owner not to be that. James says, a bad day of golf is better than any day at work. Yesterday, I'm not sure I agree. I'm about to, I just got a big scroll of questions. I'm going to miss some questions. I apologize. Wow, it's a big scroll of questions. Okay, so I'm gonna just like pick a spot somewhere in the middle and go from there. I probably can't get to them all, so I'm sorry about that. We have 300 people watching. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. Ian says people are sleeping on the Steelers. Could be. Josh says, what are you drinking tomorrow? It's always possum water vodka, obviously. That's good, possum. I don't really drink alcohol during the football games because I got to work. Paul says, are you writing outside of football stuff right now? Right now, I'm really not. I tried last weekend. It's so all-consuming. So unfortunately, this big, long novel that I'm working on right now, I don't have the time, unfortunately. Owen says, thoughts on the Lions over-under of 7 wins? Seems like as long as Stafford can stay healthy, we should at least go 8-8. If you forced me, it doesn't strike me as one that I'm definitely going to play. If I were a Lions fan, I might. It sounds like you are. If you forced me to pick a side, I guess I would go over because I'll push at 7. I think they're probably better than 6, and then with Stafford, like you said. So give me the slight shot at upside, but I don't feel outraged by the total. Let's see. Speakerphone Jones. I need flexual healing for Cortland Sutton, please. Either Swift or Carry On, Brian Edwards or Henderson. Blah. Blah. I know, gross. Like Henderson, at least it sounds like he's going to play, but we have no idea about the role. Brian Edwards, it sounds like has a chance not to play. He'll probably play, but I don't love hearing that a rookie has a knee issue. So then for me, it's probably one of the Lions running backs. And I know this isn't on, but yikes. I don't really want to have to choose. I guess Carry On. I have him like one spot ahead of Swift, but I'm sorry. I don't really know. Let's see. So this is a good question that Donald asks. What if the 49ers don't play tomorrow? Like, he asks about Jimmy Garoppolo. Who should I replace him with? And for that answer, I'll just refer you to harrisfootball.com. I have quarterback ranks there. All the guys you mentioned are listed, but it brings up an excellent topic, which is blah. I mean, I'm in California. I played golf in the smoke yesterday. Like it is not a blue sky, and it's not because there are clouds. It is completely covered with smoke. It's not cool. I can understand why they conceivably might play. And for fantasy purposes, I think we have to view it like if they postpone it until Monday or Tuesday, I can see leagues continuing to count those numbers, but I have a feeling they wouldn't. If they're canceling it now, it's not going to be better by Monday or Tuesday. So it seems like fantasy leagues are going to have to treat it as though it's a missed game, and those players just don't get points for that week. And we're probably going to have to be alert for a late game to find out that we have to bench our 49ers and bench our Cardinals, which is another one more thumb in the eye from 2020. Ash says, you look like you have a possum tattoo on your chest. That color does not work for you. Well, that's really nice of you to say, Ash. I feel awesome about the fact that you wanted to type that in public to make fun of another person. I'm sure you feel good about it too. Rock on. Thanks. Let's see. In fact, Ash, I think you got to go. Bye. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Because Ash is being mean to other people too. Thanks, Ash. Which rookie running back has the best chance of being in the top 3 of your 2021 draft ranks, says Adrian. Obviously, it's sight unseen except for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and so Edwards-Helaire probably has the best chance because that was a very impressive performance, probably numerically a little better than it actually was on the field, and yet still those runs when the game was still competitive, he was mighty good. So maybe him. I think Taylor has a chance to beat Chubb. Marlon Mack goes away maybe next year. Maybe the Colts don't re-sign him. I probably am going to say Edwards-Helaire, but that's kind of cheating. Maybe I'll say Taylor as the one who didn't play yet. I'll give you Taylor. I see Ryan's comment. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. That's very nice of you to say. Nick says, why was I born a Lions fan? I don't know, Ben. I don't know, Nick. That's rough. Ben says, and half-point perception. Choose 2, Hunt, Landry, or White. I will say probably, I think you see in my ranks, I probably have Hunt ahead of White. So you can sort of look at the running back ranks and pick between them. But yeah, it's a good question because Landry, how healthy is he? He had surgery. He hasn't done anything in practice. He probably can come right out, roll out of bed and play, but maybe for a week it makes sense to give him a rest and just play the running backs. Hard to know. Eric says Cam Akers or Kerryon Johnson or Mike Evans as flex. And of course, Eric, we would say Mike Evans, except for we don't know if he's playing. He's now not doubtful. Now he's listed as questionable. So they're messing around and he could be fine, right? This might be all just hokum, but I took him off the ranks for now. You can see the ranks at harrisfootball.com. I have a hard time endorsing him. So if you're just comparing with the running backs, again, go to harrisfootball.com. You can find single position ranks. And I'm pretty sure Cam Akers higher. Bo says PPR, Singletary and Preston Williams for Woods. Is it a good deal? I don't know. This is why I kind of don't do a lot of trades before the season starts. I don't know because I haven't seen anything yet. You could convince me that either one of it seems like a fair deal because maybe Singletary is really, really limited by Zach Moss, or maybe he's awesome. Like we're gonna start learning that question really soon, but I don't know yet. So I don't know that I would trade right now, to be honest. Let's see. Ryan asks a La Liga clone question. How do you value first-round draft picks in La Liga? Is it worth trading to win now or to keep to build? I mean, again, trades now for me I'm just not making trades now because we don't know anything more than we knew when we drafted them, and we didn't know that much when we drafted them. So I'll just answer the question for as we go along. Like if I'm competing, if I think I look at my team is 4-2, and I look at it. The point totals have been great, and I look at the roster and I really believe in it. I definitely will trade the first rounder. I don't always, but I definitely will. Dynasty football is always overvalues future assets. It's awesome if that guy turns into Saquon Barkley. I mean, he'd be the number 1 overall, right? It's awesome if they turn into unexpected, surprising late Christian McCaffrey, mid to late round first round picks in Dynasty. Awesome, but they also sometimes turn out to be nothing. And if you can get Julio Jones, I mean, I got Michael Thomas last year, and he took me to a championship in that league. So I'm okay with it, but probably right now, not so much. So I see a lot of single position questions. Struther Knight, Kyle, if you have a single position question while I'm talking, you just navigate over to harrisfootball.com, and I have my week 1 single position ranks up there. You'll see what I think right there. Michael says, what's stupider, the podcast or the YouTube show? I mean, I gotta believe it's the podcast, because the YouTube show has to be just tighter, right? It's an hour versus 15 minutes. I'm gonna say it's probably the podcast. I think I say, like, even with the extended amount of time on the podcast per minute, I have to say much stupider things on the podcast. I have to believe that's true. Let's see. Vicente says, Rager or Sims in a half PPR, they are not ranked. Yeah, I think Rager might have actually, in an update that I did last night, Rager might have just got squeaked into the non-PPR ranks, and probably is like 1 or 2 lower than in the non-PPR, in the full PPR. So I'm going to say Rager. I'm interested to see if Sims becomes more than sort of a medium slotty, gadgety kind of guy that he was last year. I think I need to see it. I'd like to know if Washington is functional on offense, if they can really support a second receiver. They couldn't last year. There's some skepticism there. And then also if he himself is capable of doing more than 3 or 4 catches a game, mostly out of the slot, big third down conversion, but not really like a downfield threat or a volume threat or even a touchdown threat. Like, I think I probably need to see it. I don't mind you owning him at all, but I would probably say Rager. Joe says, what are your thoughts on Amari Cooper? Has the hate gone too far? Cousin Josh does not think the hate has gone far enough. Obviously, if you listen to the podcast, Cousin Josh not that happy about Amari Cooper. I guess I don't. It's interesting. I mean, I guess I don't have my finger on the pulse of the hate. I don't exactly know what's the stimulus that has caused you to say, wow, people hate him now too much. I have him as a wide receiver 1, begrudgingly, like a low level. To draft him, he might have been 10 or 12 or something on my list. I can't remember exactly, but I would rank him high above Michael Gallup. I would rank him high above CD Lamb. A lot of crutch arguments that people would want to talk about, to make whatever. They sort of get invalidated by the fact that they draft CeeDee Lamb, by the fact that they give Cooper the giant contract, and it winds up maybe being Gallup who'll be the one who winds up walking galloping when he's done with his contract, because you can't pay everybody. I don't know. I think Cooper is good. He just is so wildly inconsistent, and sometimes, him toughing out last year almost came across like he was somehow dogging it or whatever. But I'm sure he's not totally dogging. There does seem to be something about him. I will say that. Alrighty. Alex says John Paul, George, or Ringo. John. I would say John. Let's see. Nadro Sleek says, could you expand on why you're high on Rodgers week 1? Seems like everyone else is fading him unanimously. That certainly seemed to be the case to me during draft season. I think, on the podcast, I talked about this an awful lot. I recommend the podcast. I think you'd like it. And what it comes down to is I am not sure why everyone was fading Rodgers as though he's somehow done or bad or gone or whatever. I think the argument is if you had just given Rodgers a normal amount ratio of touchdowns to completions, even that he'd had all throughout his career, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He would have finished as QB 6 and and Aaron Jones would have scored 14 touchdowns or 12 touchdowns instead, right? It just, Devontae Adams got tackled at the 1 over and over last year, and then Aaron Jones would score. A guy who throws 4 interceptions for an entire season, I don't think he himself has lost skill. It is fair to say that we don't love the receiving core. It's the same as last year. Didn't really work last year. Worried that it won't work this year. But I just think even with how he performed last year, he should have had a much better season. He should have thrown touchdowns. There definitely are and were some weeks last year where we had 165 yards passing and acted like a non-top 12 fantasy quarterback. So, okay, I'll acknowledge that he no longer belongs at 2, 3, 4, which is where the guys who always get to 300 yards belong. But, Matt Ryan has those weeks too, and Carson Wentz has those weeks too. And I think Rodgers is a better player than all of them. I guess that's the Rodgers defense. I understand what the Rodgers attack is. One attack that I never really buy is they run too much. There's no team in the world now that runs too much. Every single team, not every single team, but just about any team with a quarterback who's even close to a name that you would want to own, they're throwing it 30 plus times a week. And is it better when they throw it 50 plus times? Sure, but you can live easily on 30 plus. You just need the right 30, and I'll take those 30 with Rodgers. So Min, I see a tight end question. You can go to harrisfootball.com and you can find my tight end ranks. Chris, I see a running back question. Same thing. Vicente has asked that Rager question 7,000 times. I already answered it, but I suppose I'm behind in the scroll. Let's see. Sterling says, would you drop John Brown or Sony Michel to pick up and stash Devontae Freeman? I think probably not. At this point, I think probably not. I don't love having to use Brown or Michel. I assume that you're not going to have to use them in week 1, but we could get out of week 1 and John Brown could have scored a long touchdown and Sony Michel could have gotten 17 carries and they would obviously be waiver wire ads in your league, and Devontae Freeman probably still won't be signed. And to be honest, I didn't think he looked completely cooked last year, but the fact is we haven't seen him in a while, and I'm sure this is not about him not having ability. At least I'm sure he thinks he has ability. I'm sure it's about money, and he's probably just going to. Rosenhaus is probably just telling him, wait. Some running back in week 1 or week 2 is going to get hurt and they're going to need you real bad and they're going to pay you. And I'm sure he's like, cool, I'll work out in the meantime. But maybe I wouldn't. Maybe my answer is that I wouldn't. Steven says, can Denver be a good team without Sutton and Von Miller? How long until Lindsey overtakes Gordon as the top running back? I like Melvin Gordon. I think if you listen to my show or watch this channel at all, you probably are aware that I don't expect Philip Lindsay takes over the job from Melvin Gordon, but that I like Philip Lindsay a lot, and I would love it if Philip Lindsay could, be a part of that offense. I think he probably will. So I like Gordon fine. No Von Miller for sure. I mean, Sutton, it doesn't sound like they're going to be without him for a long time, but it's not great. I mean, when you lose your best players, it's not great. Teams certainly sometimes overcome losses of players and wind up being okay. But part of what Denver was counting on and part of why I thought they were maybe a fringe starting fantasy defense was getting Bradley Chubb back and being able to pair him with Von Miller. And, they keep not having them together, which really does. I think that defense is going to be pretty good anyway. I sort of trust Vic Fangio is one of those guys who usually cobbles together a decent enough defense and then they go from there. But yeah, it is a question worth asking for sure. William says, as a fellow Pats fan, I'm curious how you think we will do. I mean, I don't think they're going to be as good, but I think they'll be okay. I think they're going to win tomorrow. I think Cam Newton is good, and for as long as he's healthy, I expect that they'll be okay. And then after he's not healthy, I think they're going to be really bad. Like I think they've got a shot to win that division. There's a chance they could be a 10-win team, a 9-win team, something like that. That's my guess. Could be a lot worse than that. They have missing a lot of guys on defense also. All right. This is not a sponsored thing, but I have like 300 of you right here. You're watching this right now. We're doing a $5 pick'em contest, right? So you pick against point spreads, all the games except the Thursday night games. We're doing it every week. It's going to be a $5 pool. Okay. So I wish I could just do it on an Excel spreadsheet and you could all Venmo me money, but we're probably not going to do that, right? So I need an offshore sports book that will do this for us. And I'm no longer with BetDSI. I know a lot of you have a BetDSI account because of me. I appreciate that very much. BetDSI got really hit hard by the pandemic. They're still fine. They're still doing their business, but they're just not marketing, and they laid off a lot of their customers. Or like they had to, right? They just weren't making money during the no sports time. So bookmaker.net stepped up and is going to run this pool for us. So in order to do it, the trade-off is to do this $5 pool. The $5 has to come out of your bookmaker.net account. You have to open another offshore account. I'm sorry about that. If you put in $100, you'll be done for the whole year if you just want to play the $5 contest. So go to bookmaker.net, open an account, right? And once you do and you have an account number, go to bookmakercontest.com. That's all you have to do. You'll enter your account number, some other information. You'll get an email back. You'll get a link where you log in to make your picks. You'll be able to make your picks every week. You don't have to play every week, but if you want to, it's there. I'm going to play every week. It's $5. We'll see who's best picking against the spread. You're going against me. You're going against Josh. You're going against Travis, who sent out an email about this morning. They're not paying for this spot. I just think it'll be fun if we can get as many people in the pick'em contest as we do in DraftKings. Like in the DraftKings contest now, we're going to have well more than 1,000 people who want to play this week. It's actually probably maybe filled by the time I'm saying this. We have like 100 in the bookmaker contest. I'd like to it's just fun to have more people in there. The incentive, in addition to winning money in the contest, a little bit of money, it's $5 a person, also is that we'll keep standings, and I'll update the standings on the podcast. And the person who's at the front of the standings for the first month, after that first month is over, you'll get this, except for it'll be one-on-one. It'll just be me and you Skyping, and we'll just talk for however long you want to talk. It's fun. I really like doing those. So you have to do two things. You have to go to bookmaker.net, and you have to make an account, make a deposit. If you use a Visa, they're going to be like, hey, they're going to charge you a surcharge. Don't worry. They'll pay you back on the back end. If you get charged a surcharge, you'll get covered. So get a bookmaker.net account, and then it actually forwards you to bookmaker.eu. So don't freak out if you see that. And then go to bookmakercontest.com. It's just for us. It's not like a million other people. It's me, my listeners, cousin Josh. And I just want more people to play. They're not paying for this. I just think it'll be fun if more people play in this contest. All right, that's my pitch. I'm going to stop talking about it. Let's answer more of your questions. Lucas says, am I basic if a turkey mayo is my favorite sandwich? Well, so I'm vegetarian, but I have to say, like all those, so this goes back to a rant that Josh had on the podcast about you don't go to Katz's Deli and order a turkey mayo because they specialize in pastrami. They specialize in the more funkier cured meats. And of course, I'm a vegetarian, so I haven't had meat in a long, long time. But if back when I ate meat, I liked turkey sandwich too. That was probably my favorite kind of sandwich. So yeah. Alex says, be honest, do you miss Alex Collins? Nothing. It was never personal against Alex Collins. Nate Bauer. Is it the Nate Bauer who's here? My Nate Bauer is here. Hi, Nate Bauer. I miss you, buddy. Nate says, yes, you are basic for liking that sandwich, but that's okay. That sounds like Nate. I'm almost sure it is actually Nate. He's continuing to go on about the sandwich. Well done. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Dave Hewitt just posted the DraftKings contest. So we do also want to fill up the DraftKings room, which we will. We will easily. We're at 940 or something just this morning. They made it 1,000. Let's see. Freyo says, anyone have thoughts on James Bradbury shadowing Juju or Deontay? I mean, Bradbury's a good player. I don't know if James Bradbury rises to the level of I need to make sure I don't play my receiver against him. Obviously, we've never seen him play with the Giants. When he was with the Panthers, he was certainly their best corner. I mean, when it was him and like Eli Apple, you knew who to pick on. I don't know that I think Bradbury's like I have to stay away from type player, nor am I positive the Giants will travel him with the elite receiver. Is there an elite receiver? And Bradbury's likely or probably to play on the outside. So maybe if Juju's on the inside, you wouldn't get that matchup anyway. I would say sight unseen, completely not knowing anything, it's not worth contemplating. It's not worth freaking out about. You're playing Juju. You're playing Juju over Johnson in every format you have right now. Let's see what it looks like. I like Johnson I'm glad I have him on my bench in some places. I'd rather not use him until I can see what's what. Maybe in some deeper leagues, I don't have a choice, but I would say don't freak out about Bradbury and just play Juju. Let's see. I see Dave Halliday. This is maybe a question for Dave Hewitt. Whatever happened to Empire FF? I tried to sign up, but their sign-up fields didn't work. That's weird. I wouldn't think that should be the case. Dave, there must be a support email. It should not. As far as I know, like Jason, the guy who started it, he lives in Canada. He's a lovely gentleman in Western Canada. I think it's Vancouver. I can't remember positive. I talked to him on the phone when he wound up sponsoring the show. He's a really, really, really gentle, nice guy. I liked him a lot. It would be cool if Empire works out. He's doing this as kind of a beta season, and for sure he wants people to sign up before tomorrow. So if you don't see an email on there, Dave, I think you have my email address. Just email me, and we'll see if I can hook you up with Jason. He's a nice dude. David says, so you're vegetarian and you live on a yacht. Do you eat fish? I don't. It's torture. I look down and I see them and they look up at me and they go, ha ha. And I go, oh, I can't eat you. No, I don't. Anything. What's Mr. Rogers say? Anything that has a mother, I do not partake. Let's see. Henoch says, would you play Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt at the same time in a PPR league? I mean, obviously, it's always going to come down to what other options you have. So check out harrisfootball.com and you'll see my running back ranks. This wouldn't feel like the week to do it because we suspect that the Ravens defense is really good, but it might take a step back like it does sometimes. And losing Earl Thomas is a thing. And like, it's possible it's not as bad a matchup as we think, but I don't love having to rely on. I'm positive the Browns are going to be able to move the ball with their running backs against the Ravens. It would not be my first choice. In other weeks, though, it's not going to be a total non-starter. But of course, what's going to define that question is whether they're doing it, right? We're going to feel a lot more or less comfortable based on what we actually see. Do we get the Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams year? Do we get the both guys from the same team can be awesome for fantasy? Yeah, that's really it. Kind of, we need the Browns to have a good offense, a better offense than they did last year, which is certainly possible. They don't bring in Stefanski if they don't think he can do that. So if it's an improved offense, it's possible both guys are worth starting. Let's see. I saw a good one and I lost it. Let's see. Owen says, do the new deals for Kamara and Dalvin Cook mean anything fantasy-wise? I mean, I think it's funny and probably pretty telling based on the Le'Veon Bell and Melvin Gordon experiences the last 2 years that these three running backs let's say both parties, the teams and the running backs, were both willing to go, let's not do that. That's going to crush both of us. It hasn't worked out for any team and or any player who's done this. Let's not have any holdouts. It takes a lot of pressure off dynasty-wise. It takes a lot of pressure off worrying about some weird midseason holdout. It's like all the three guys, Mixon included, who everybody, at various times I would go on shows and I would say, yeah, they're first rounders. And they would go, no, they're not. They're bad because of their contract. Like, if you were not drafting based on the contract, then, I feel like you kind of got what you deserved. But yeah. Let's see. Jeff says, better talent, Henry Ruggs or Deontay Johnson? I mean, let's just say I like the question a lot, but big caveat. I haven't seen Henry Ruggs play in an NFL game, and it's just so different. Even playing at Alabama, it's just so different. So I don't think I can tell you anything for sure about Ruggs. I like Deontay Johnson. My comp for him, you may have heard me say, I'm kind of invoking T.Y. Hilton, that sort of player. Like, yes, a deep threat, never going to be the literally fastest player in the league, but it's plenty fast enough to blow away man coverage. And then also the thing I always liked about Hilton, maybe always is the wrong word. Early in his career, I was a little skeptical of Hilton, but in the meat part of his career, the thing I've liked about him is that he actually runs routes too, and he actually has some quickness to him. He's not the best at those things, but he's also not Deshaun Jackson. I feel like Hilton has been a better pro than Deshaun Jackson because he can do more than just run down the field with his arm up and stay healthy. But that's what I hope for Deontay Johnson. Ruggs could be Tyreek Hill, in which case I would prefer Ruggs. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see it. Let's see. Could you pass the possum water vodka? The possum vodka, says Tom. We all need a shot. I wish I could, but I am gonna have another swig. Let's see. Keller says, would you start Antonio Gibson or Deontay Johnson in your flex in a PPR league this week? It's a good question. I wish that Deontay Johnson hadn't had the foot thing nagging him. I wish we could have gone in like completely unscathed and feel like there were nothing. And then I think I pretty clearly would have said Johnson. Boy, what do we do with Antonio Gibson this week? Any league where I have Antonio Gibson, I got him so late that I just don't feel compelled, because it was before Darius Geis got cut, right? After Geis got cut, Gibson started going so high that I was like, I see it. I understand that there's upside there, but it's also the 5th round. It's I need a starter there, or 6th round or something. So, I'll say Johnson, just because I want to give Gibson a week. I have no idea what to expect. Are they going to use him like a regular running back? Then I am dumb, and you should use Gibson. If you suspect that maybe Washington's about to give Gibson 15 plus touches as a running back, and that's touches, including we do think he's going to get some receptions, then you would play him. And what if it's Peyton Barber? What if it's Bryce Love? I probably have too much anxiety about Gibson in this comparison. Maybe I'd go Johnson, but because of the foot injury, if you went Gibson, no real argument. Santiago says, is there a minimum deposit for bookmaker? I mean, you'll quickly be able to find it. Whether there is, I tend to think not. You can certainly put it in like, what, if you played 17 weeks, it would be, is that $65? Like, I know you could just do $65 if you wanted to. You surely can do 100. I don't think there's anything, maybe $5. I don't know if they let you do that. I'm not sure. Let's see. Why is Kirk Cousins Starbucks? I can't remember, and it's driving me crazy, says Dave. This is a Jim McCormick joke. He at some point just started calling him Starbucks because you can get that anywhere. You can get what Kirk Cousins gives you. You can get that on any street corner. Any quarterback can give you that. Why draft Kirk Cousins when you can get it, when you can pick up some dude off the free agent wire or the corner and get exactly the same production, just like a Starbucks. So he started calling him Starbucks. And I started calling him Starbucks. That is how it happened. Jonathan says, what are your expectations for James White in week 1 for PPR? I mean, I ranked him as an RB2 or at least a flex. I think that offense runs well when they throw him little flares and little screen passes. And I don't imagine that changes with Cam Newton. If anything, Newton did that to McCaffrey really well. To some degree, my thing about Newton has always been accuracy, and he's a lot better off just moving an offense in general if they keep a fair amount of the throws not super far down the field. We know he's got a big arm. He's always had somewhat throwing accuracy problems. So I we'll find out if I'm wrong. My assumption is that White is White. That it's still Josh McDaniels on offense. They still want to go motion heavy and funky formation and throw to open spaces, and they really like White in that role. And I wouldn't imagine that changes. But it's a guess, right? Let's see. If you have a single position question, I'm probably not going to answer it because you can just go to harrisfootball.com and you'll see my ranks, which I do I spend a lot more time on than I would just sort of like pew, 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 pew. you guys like that? Pew, 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 pew. Yeah, that was really great. Samuel says the bookmaker cashier page won't load for me. I'm sure they have customer service. That's a pain. I'm sorry about that. Maybe try a different browser. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I see a lot of single position questions. Okay, CR says start one, Jonathan Taylor, Julian Edelman, Tyler Boyd, or James White. Yeah, isn't it fun to have a lot of options at flex? No matter what I say, no matter what you pick, it's going to be the wrong one because that's the way the world is. But they are good options. Taylor has workload questions. We don't know. If we could be guaranteed workload with him, it would be clear that he's an every week starter. That's why you are asking the question. So the rest of them, Edelman, Boyd, James White, they're all so in the same neighborhood. It's tough for me to go. I'm positive which one. Maybe I sit out Boyd for a week, not knowing what AJ Green's involvement is. Edelman and White feel like they're just going to be Edelman and White. Maybe I would play White. It's so tough. Maybe I would play Taylor. I tend to be really risk embracing. So maybe I would just be like, hell, I want the big long run. I'll take 10 touches. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be great. I might do that. But you're asking the question, which is a good question. It makes me think you don't really want to do that, and maybe I'd play White then. Let's see. Bryant, I lost the question. Oh, there it is. Bryant says, how tempted were you to put Dante Pettis on your super deep sleepers list? It just felt like it would have been bad karma after last year. It just felt like it would have been bad karma. Obviously is a path for him to completely do the thing that we thought he would do last year, but I think I need to be out of the Dante Pettis business for a while, so I think I probably just wasn't that tempted. So Jake says Antonio Gibson or Marvin Jones in a full point per reception. I'm not going to redo the Antonio Gibson conversation, but it's, if we don't get Kenny Golladay, which I think we're leaning toward maybe not getting Kenny Golladay, Jones and TJ Hawkinson for me get a little more attractive. I already had Hawkinson at like tight end 8 or something, so let's not go any higher on him. But I moved Jones up in the ranks quite a bit. I think in this comparison, where I said with Jonathan Taylor, I said I'm risk embracing, but in this case, the Gibson thing, maybe I just play Marvin Jones. I'm not that risk embracing, maybe, I guess. I'm scared of him a little bit, but I really don't know. Week made strong. Would you wait on starting Le'Veon Bell? It obviously depends on what else you have in your potential in your roster. I understand why you might be nervous. It's one of the best defenses in the league. We really don't know. I'll say what I said earlier. We don't. I never have claimed that Le'Veon Bell is destined for 1,600 yards and 10 touchdowns. What I said was that possibility wasn't baked into his price at all. So I liked the price, but it isn't mandatory to play him. It isn't. It's going to depend on what other options you have. But if you just have a bad feeling, I get it. Jade says, hey, Harris, would you go Mark Ingram or Stephon Diggity for a flex? I think I'd play Ingram because Diggs has all the upside in the world. I think he verges on being a top 20 wide receiver. I like it, but I understand why people who don't like it are worried. I would be cool using Ingram and then letting Diggs have a week to prove it. James says, which player are you most excited to watch in week 1? It's Jonathan Taylor for me. That's a good one. I have to say, though, it's probably Brady. It's probably the Buccaneers. It's just such a weird, cool story. I kind of want them to be awesome. I'm a Brady fan. Obviously, I am. I'm a Patriots fan. I'm not going to suddenly not like the guy. It's just a cool story. It's almost like a fantasy football trade. It's almost a fantasy football story of this superstar who's been so amazing gets this cast that's been so amazing and all those numbers, but they were pretty hollow because Jameis was terrible. What will happen? That feels to me like just the storyline of the season. But yeah, there's lots of guys. I was psyched to see Edwards-Helaire, and it's so psyched to see that he played so well. It would be awesome if Taylor, I want to see Taylor too. That's cool. Let's see. Jake says, sorry if you answered this already. I did not. Thoughts on Teddy Bridgewater? For the purposes of fantasy, we're rightly probably not that excited about using him because he's got a little Chad Pennington in him. I think he has a bigger arm than Chad Pennington. We're going back, 15, 20 years on Pennington, but he's game manager. even though I don't think his arm is a real huge limitation. He doesn't have a cannon, but I don't think he has a total pop gun. He's not, I used to think like Matt Schaub. He's probably got like a Matt Schaub level arm, Teddy Bridgewater does. Like, it's okay, it'll do, but you're not running like a lot of 17-yard outs against man coverage because he's not going to laser it in there. Your playbook needs to be relatively conservative, and he himself, I think, has just been trained to not take as many chances as some other quarterbacks. Smart guy, and so I'll say he's probably good as a bridge quarterback, Bridgewater. And probably not the reason Carolina will be bad this year if they're bad, which I suspect they might be bad, because he's a professional mid, like below average, but average is pretty good type quarterback in the NFL. He's okay. Let's see. This just in: Miles Sanders not making the trip to Washington. Well. That's actually very unfortunate. I'm not happy. I mean, I wasn't making calls that I liked Miles Sanders this year, but A, I don't like that it's not as fun when he's not in the game. And also B, a lot of you might have him, and I don't want to say anything bad about that. But Boston Scott has to come up with a list if that's true. If YouTube comments are telling the truth, which multiple people said it, so I think it's probably true. Boston Scott needs to come up the list, and let's see. Maybe this is the moment Devontae Freeman signs, and I want to take back the comment about adding Devontae Freeman. But like maybe the kid they drafted out of New Mexico State plays. Corey Clement plays. Boston Scott can't get as high as Miles Sanders in the rank, I don't think, but he belongs in that sort of late running back to early flex type conversation. Probably I have to look at the ranks, and I'll make changes at the website harrisfootball.com. Let's see. Steven says, am I crazy to play the Saints defense over the Eagles defense this week? I think the Saints will be better year long, and I don't want to drop them. So I like both parts of that question, actually, very, very much. So obviously, that I have team defense ranks at harrisfootball.com. The ones for the season are still up too. My draft ranks are still up. I'll leave them up till tomorrow. But week one ranks are there as well. And I have to be honest, I don't remember the order that I have the Saints or the Eagles. But the first question is, would you be crazy? And the answer is no one knows what's going to happen. So no. I mean, there are good players on both defenses, so you wouldn't be crazy. You're right thinking Philadelphia has a better matchup. I think that's pretty clear. Tampa's got Tom Brady and a lot of good offensive weapons, right? So it's a scarier matchup for the Saints defense. But the second part of the question is sort of also cool in a different way, because it's like, yeah, if you drop the Saints, I think you're probably going to lose them. And I like the Saints defense too. And maybe letting the week one matchup dictate whether I'm going to lose the defense I'd prefer to use all year, maybe that's not a good idea. I'm sort of with you on that. You are sort of taking a hit matchup wise, no question. But the fact is, we don't know that much going in. So I think I'm okay with your plan, to be honest. Lil Sweet says, what do you think about Brian Edwards? So I think Brian Edwards is an interesting prospect who probably got a little too much hype in Raiders camp because people just, decided he was unstoppably amazing. And then it, now is going to turn out like pump the brakes a little bit. His knee isn't feeling great. Like short-term expectations for Edwards for me are kind of low. I wouldn't probably be starting him this week if I could avoid it. But like, as far as that sort of big coordinated, never going to run by somebody, going to need to win in that Mike Williams way where it's the Cortland Sutton way, 50-50 ball, he needs to win the 50-50. Well, he did a lot in college. So like, I think there's a chance he could be pretty good. I'm more excited about Henry Ruggs. That you can't teach that kind of speed and quickness, but I'm interested in Edwards too. Let's see. I mean, I'd like to see if he plays this week for sure. Let's see. Yeah. I see everybody saying Sanders is out. Sanders is out. I see it. Ro says, new here. Are these Saturday live streams a weekly thing? Love the content. Thank you. So the plan probably is not for me to do a weekly stream. I did a weekly stream on Thursdays last year, and they were fun, but they were sort of right in the middle of everything. And we're adding something else on the YouTube show, a DraftKings show on the YouTube show. So I'm not sure it's going to be like this every single week. There is going to be something on Saturday every week, though. There's going to be like a streaming show to talk about defenses to stream and kickers to stream. Maybe Dave Hewitt. I'm sorry, but you can decide that. And then also, tight ends to stream and maybe even running back and wide receiver. That's definitely going to happen on Saturdays going forward. That we didn't do it this week because A, who's streaming in week one, and also B, we should just mention he's not here because God, don't be here, Dave Piper. But the other Dave, the other YouTube producer whom I love, Dave Piper, just got married yesterday. So you feel free to, in the comments, to tell people, congratulations, Dave Piper. It was his birthday too. He got married on his birthday. So that's cool. And we love Dave Piper. So Hewitt and Piper, I think, are going to do the Saturday show. Hey, by the way, we have a lot of people here. Can you guys all like this video? We have like 322 people here, but only 96 likes. It would be awesome if everybody would just give it a quick like right now, because it would help. The comments help too, but it helps the channel if you like. Thank you for that. Let's see. Lesissy Nanny says, have I missed anything on Jalen Reagor and what to look for him this week? I mentioned Reagor a little bit. We were told his shoulder injury was going to cost him a month, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, we think he's going to play week one, which, we just found out Miles Sanders isn't going to play, so maybe there's something about Reagor I don't know. Also, to me, Reagor feels like probably I don't want to use him unless I'm real desperate, and hopefully in week one I'm not that desperate. And I wasn't in love with him as a prospect, but I'm also not a college scout, so I wouldn't ever say because I think somebody is or isn't a great prospect. Like, it's interesting that somebody with a reputation for being a speed guy didn't test as a speed guy. I trust that he's fast because I trust college action against fast other Big 12 athletes as better measure than a 40-yard dash for sure. But it's one little wrench. Like, I don't know that I've seen him do a lot else. I think he'd be pretty good. I preferred some other receivers in this draft. Really great receiver draft, obviously, but I wouldn't say that I damn him. It seems like if he does play, it's almost more of a downgrade for Deshaun Jackson than it is an upgrade for him. It's going to be tough to use him week one, I think. Let's see. So I'm going to specifically mention to, what is this? Jamezis. Stop skipping my damn question. LOL. I need two. Montgomery, Singletary, Gibson, Carrion. So what do those four players have in common? They have one thing. Well, they play NFL football, but beyond that, what do they have in common? They're all running backs, which means I have running back ranks. And yeah, I don't have half point per reception ranks. I have full and I have none. You can probably do them averaging out and figure out roughly where they would go in half. I don't answer single position questions on the live streams because they're already on a website that you can look at for free. So that's why I've been skipping your question. Let's see. Bell versus Diggs. I see Joe answering someone else's question. Based on what Chris said about the pod about Diggs, I'd go Bell, in my opinion. Yeah, Diggs Bell in a standard, in a PPR, half point per reception. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, probably I would say Bell. In the case where I'm not positive the receiver is a massive part of the plan right away and he's new and blah, 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 and all that stuff, maybe I'll just feel good about the idea. Like, give me 15 Le'Veon Bell touches and hope. I don't think there's a 100-yard game there sitting out for him, but maybe 100 yards from scrimmage. Maybe he makes one big play in the receiving game. And then, yeah, I give him a chance for a touchdown. Like, probably I play Bell, but if you play Diggs, I don't really know for sure. Any news? Oh, Sean says, any news on the Tulsa TV show? No real news because I can't work on it in the off. Like, there's a pilot and it's gotten some notes and it's with a production company, not with a production company. It's with a management company. So we're there. They want the pilot to be different And so I have to potentially work on it some more, and there's just no way I can't do it during the season. So it's probably going to have to wait. But thank you for asking. Let's see. Psyches. I thought it said pay cheese. It doesn't say that. Psyches says, which stash do you like more, Paris Campbell or Chase Claypool? For this year, I'm going to say Paris Campbell, and maybe that's just he's been in the league for a year, even though he was hurt a lot of it and he didn't really do much. He kind of has the understanding of what it means to be an NFL player in a way that Claypool doesn't, and we'll see. I mean, I might sing a very different tune on Tuesday morning, but I would probably say I would prefer to stash Campbell. Another quarterback question. If you have a quarterback question, any single position question, just go to harrisfootball.com. Tight end question, Jumatron, same thing. Billy McFun says, does anyone still play full point per reception these days? Shouldn't you or couldn't you adjust your ranks to standard and half point per reception? I wish it were the case, but do you know who plays in their standard game full point per reception? Hint, I used to work there. The answer is that millions and millions of people play full point per reception because ESPN changed over to full point per reception. You and I might think that's a bad move and a bad decision, and the fact is they do play full point per reception. More people play full. I mean, Yahoo has half, right? The question you could really ask yourself is who plays standard, right? Maybe the standard ranks should go, but I still think standard is more viable than PPR, so I keep doing standard ranks. Let's see. SB, keep asking a quarterback question. I'm not going to answer. You got to go to Harris Football. You'll see your answer. Let's see. Tom says, are you dropping Mecole Hardman for Bryan Edwards? Well, it's the reason you're thinking of it is because we saw how Mecole Hardman was used on Thursday night, and it wasn't exactly encouraging. Probably not. Completely sight unseen, probably not. I think I would, like, the Chiefs do mix things up. There were times last year where Demarcus Robinson was a huge part of the game plan and times when he went away. I agree. It was not a good look for Mecole Hardman on Thursday night. Not a good look at all. Doesn't mean it'll always be that way. I maybe would need, if I had, Hardman is probably droppable in other situations. Edwards doesn't feel like necessary to me. But I also won't be shocked if we get Hardman being a bigger part of the game plan later. It's possible. Let's see. Wind City Slicker says Paris Campbell or J.K. Dobbins at a flex in a standard league. I think it's Dobbins. I know there's been rookie hazing going around, and I know that's annoying, but I got to think Dobbins gets 7, 8, 9 touches, and I want to see what he does with them, and I would want those to count. And Paris Campbell, I might get 1, might get 3. I don't imagine there's a massive volume role unless something massive has changed. So maybe I would play Dobbins. Let's see. Is there one person in particular you're looking forward to video scouting for this week? Which is a good question because it's probably not Tom Brady, right? I don't need to do a lot of video scouting on Tom Brady. Let's see. Player who I want to see in action. Let me pick a non-rookie because the rookies are really the answer. We've never seen any of them play. So non-rookie who I want to see. Obviously I don't have them ranked in my mind. So I'm just thinking through players and thinking through, I'm probably not, if I thought for an hour, I could come up with a smarter answer, but, I am interested in seeing, I'd like to see Stephon Diggs and how they use him and what it looks like and whether Josh Allen, yada, yada, yada. So I'll say Diggs. Sure. Let's see. Josh says, is Boston Scott or Corey Clement the guy to own in Philly or to go with in Philly? And of course, the real answer is anybody who tells you they know the answer to that question is lying because we don't know. Who knows? Like, it's a pure category 2, as I like to call it. Like, I'll give an answer in a second. But the true answer is, I'll give you the fake answer in a second. The real answer is, I don't know. I don't have any idea. They're not going to tell us. Why would they tell us? They're not going to tell Washington. They don't want people to know. My feeling based on how last year went, this is the fake answer. My feeling is it's Boston Scott because of how last year went, because Boston Scott essentially got the Eagles into the playoffs. He had help, but that one game where he rescued when Miles Sanders got hurt, he proved a little something. Little being operative. He is tiny boned, but so is Corey Clement. Let's see if they sign someone else. Like, I don't know. But my fake answer is, if I had to pick one, it would be Boston Scott. My real answer is, I don't have any freaking idea. I don't have any more information than you do. But I guess if I were picking one, it would be Boston Scott. Let's see. Is Boston Scott as a DFS play? I think as a GPP kind of play, yeah. I mean, because of what I just said, we don't know what the workload is and how much work he'll actually get. But I can certainly see the argument in a pool where you want to differentiate yourself. I can see him as a play for sure. He should be cheap. I wonder, is he 4,000? I'm actually not sure. Darthrob says, are we starting Boston Scott over Michael Gallup? I mean, it's certainly in the neighborhood where I don't know. I don't have a definitive answer. I don't get a visceral reaction when you say those two names and I go, oh, of course. The dumb answer is that, like, I could see either one. I mean, CeeDee Lamb complicates things for Michael Gallup. Hard to make the argument that he doesn't. Complicates, but doesn't ruin Gallup, right? I would still argue with Gallup than Lamb for sure for now. Boston Scott, as I just said, I have no idea. I assume there's more work there for him with no Miles Sanders, I assume. So, boy, what would I do if I had to make that decision? What would I do? I'd probably play Gallup. I'd probably be scared to go into the running back situation with no idea, right? I think I'd feel safer that I was going to get something out of Gallup. But if you said the other way around, I would 100% understand. No question about it. Chris says, who has the higher floor and higher ceiling between the Colts running backs this week? Not knowing usage and not really believing the coach speak that we're not going to see Jonathan Taylor to the third quarter, I just don't believe it. Don't believe it. Think it's a lie, a coach lying. Shocker. I just don't believe it. So not knowing the workload, not trusting what they said. I mean, I think Taylor's a more explosive player, likelier to take one to the house by running over three guys and then running real fast. Mac is a pretty explosive player, and I showed you on the YouTube channel earlier this week. Like, he himself can go to the house for sure, but he's a different kind of runner. He's not as physical. Like, who has the safer floor? I don't think either floor is safe because I don't know how they're going to get deployed. It's rough. I mean, I guess if we're right that Jacksonville is just terrible on defense, or just overall, that Indy has the ball the same way Kansas City had the ball all Thursday night, there's going to be plenty of work for both of those Colts running backs, I would assume. So I guess I think Taylor has the higher upside, and they probably have the same floor. Not knowing it all, not trusting what they said about who's starting and all that stuff. I just don't trust it. Let's see. Rose says, man, I love this. It's like a podcast on a Saturday. Well, thanks. It's also live. It's kind of easier to do this than a podcast because I can just react to what you say and go, la, 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 la. Podcast, you actually have to figure out what you're going to say. But thank you for liking it. Also, I've been doing it for an hour and 15 minutes. Let's see. I see a wide receiver question from Will Davis. You can go get the answer on the website. Somebody just said, any thoughts on Bryan Edwards? I literally said like 5 minutes on Bryan Edwards. Let's see. Ben says, wait, your podcasts aren't live? Yeah. Jake asks a running back question. Casey says, will you be live streaming weekly through the season? I don't think it'll be weekly. I don't think it will be. It's just hard to find that time, find a window when I don't have to do all the other stuff that I have to do. But I'll try to work them in here and there. If you want the weekly live stream, join the People of the Book Club. Buy a book of mine. Any novel that I wrote, go to Amazon. They're all on there. They have. You can go to Audible also or Kindle, and you can get any one of my books. Send a proof of purchase to heyharris@harrisfootball.com. I will invite you to the Facebook group, and I do this for an hour right leading up till kickoff, noon Eastern, every Sunday. I answer questions for an hour. Let's see. D. Lennon, Drew, I think that's Drew, says, I always try and talk to Chris during his podcast, and he never responds. I know, what a jerk. Let's see. What do you think about Brian Edwards, though? Michael says, are you worried about Mike Evans long term? I got offered Mike Evans and John Brown for Diggs and Deontay Johnson. Maybe I'll take those two separately, Mike. I'll say I'm just not making trades. I sort of started the time doing this. I'm not making trades right now. I don't feel a need. Like, I drafted who I drafted. I don't feel like, like I said before, if someone wants to give me DeAndre Hopkins for Will Fuller right now, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'm probably just going to wait until I usually don't trade after week 1. I usually wait until like week 3 before I start thinking about trades because I just don't know what guys are yet, in their current circumstance. But am I worried about Mike Evans long term? I mean, well, first of all, I have no idea. Right? It's a good question, but I have no idea because I'm not in his hamstring. I wish I knew. Maybe I don't have a source in the Tampa Bay organization who is willing to go on the record and tell me that Mike Evans is doomed. It's worse to have a hamstring issue, especially since last year's season ended with a hamstring issue, than to not have a hamstring issue. But, if you're telling me right now you're doing a draft today, Mike Evans doesn't go where he went. No question about it, because there is more risk. But I mean, he goes, right? And he's not going to last to the 10th round. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know any more than you do. When it comes to injuries, I promise you guys, I don't know you any more than you do, but it's worth asking because is it a potential amazing deal of the year? And of course I don't know. I'll do not know. So Santiago says, is it just my account or is yesterday's podcast not on Spotify? It's definitely not your account. Because I heard it on Twitter from several people, didn't make it up there on Spotify for some reason. I have no control over that. The way it works, for a little podcast lesson, you've got me, and I upload the file to my host, Libsyn, and then Libsyn has an RSS feed, and they send out to Apple Podcast and Spotify and Google Play and Stitcher and all those, right? And that transaction is a pull transaction. So Stitcher just has it ready and Spotify needs to go grab it, right? And apparently Spotify didn't grab it yesterday, which is a technical problem on their end. And I assume that it will show up. But if you're having a hard time finding it, you can always listen. Just go to harrisfootball.com. There's a podcasts page and you can just hit play and you can actually listen on the webpage. But sorry about that. Let's see. Famco says, love the show. Thank you. How do you feel about James Robinson in Jacksonville? So given the news that Devine Ezigbo won't play and is on IR also, I definitely felt the need to raise Robinson in the ranks. How far? I don't know. I know how far I ranked him. He's like mid-30s among running backs, I think. You can see at harrisfootball.com. Those are up to date for where I ranked him, but I will once again emphasize that even when they play major college football, I don't have that much of an idea of how good or not good they are until they're in the pros. And I think to some degree, maybe nobody does. But for sure, when they play at Illinois State, I don't have a good idea. If he's an NFL quality player at Illinois State, I would think he's going to probably look pretty good on that film because he's basically running over the equivalent of me and probably now me, not high school me. So, of course, ability-wise, I don't know. There does seem to be a big opportunity. What we're told is that he's another bigger guy, that he's fast but not crazy fast. I assume it's not a super, super valuable role in Jacksonville. Maybe it is. And the fact that Chris Thompson is there takes a lot of the edge off because it's hard to imagine anybody else is playing other than just first and second down. But, I mean, how is Robinson probably not getting you 15 carries on Sunday? Like, he probably is, but unfortunately it might be 32 yards. I just don't know anything about the kid. You're drafting like a roster-shaped hole, or you're owning or you're starting a roster-shaped hole. For me, I'd probably want to give it a week, but you can see where I have him in the ranks. Drew says, how did Chris know my first name? I just remember people from Twitter. You're a nice person. I remember some people. Hi says, I feel like Boston Scott will get a lot of touches. I mean, he really might. You're absolutely right. It's definitely in the realm of possibility, and it's cool. Like I got the news like during this live stream, so I can't tell you I'm positive where I'm going to rank him just yet, but it's probably not going to be RB 18. It's probably going to be RB 31 or 36 or something like that. Like it's going to be tough for me to like, there is a school of thought, and people sometimes come on my show and say it. All I'm trying to do is draft volume. I don't care about the players. I'm just trying to find volume. Targets, touches, quarterback throws, pace. That's all I care about. That's how I do all my drafting. That's how I do all my modeling. And while that is not my approach, those things do have value. It's not like I'm not looking at depth charts. I can't like stick my nose up in the air and say, the fact that Boston Scott may be first in line for a lot of catches and carries tomorrow means nothing to me. Like, of course it does. You're right. It really does. We don't have a great record of being able to judge these things beforehand. Sometimes we nail it and we say to ourselves, I'm good at this. I always knew it. And then other times we get it totally wrong, and we probably forget those and only remember the times where we snapped. So I'll just say, if you have that feeling, play that feeling. That's completely fine. I just said before, if you told me right now you have to pick one player who's definitely going to have the most touches in that Eagles backfield tomorrow, right now it's Boston Scott, but I don't know it for sure. Obviously, nobody does. Rusil says, can you do a live stream with cousin Josh? I think the closest that's going to happen is to watch that La Liga auction where he was stressing out over spending all his money on. Who did he get? It wasn't Robert Woods. I got Robert Woods. Yeah, it feels not that likely, but maybe someday. Maybe we could sneak him in. So, are you having Barons and Funston on the pod this season? I always love those guys. Absolutely. Funston was just on this past week. Thanks for listening. Yeah, Funston was on Tuesday. Barons is coming up next Wednesday. They will be regulars for sure. Jason says, start sexy Rexy Burkhead due to Harris being out and Sony Michel coming back from injury. I mean, my answer would be no. If I was picking among that group, I would probably pick Sony Michel. But no, I think Rex Burkhead himself has been enough of a part-time player and injury-prone guy that I probably would need to see quite a lot of work from him to feel great about it. Andy says Ronald Jones or Edelman. I think probably I'll go 90 minutes here, so we'll do like 6 more minutes. 60. Sorry. Andy said Ronald Jones or Julian Edelman. Yeah, I mean, so many backfields that we don't know anything about, that we can tell ourselves we do and we don't. Does Leonard Fournette even play at all? Does he play the entire game? I just have no idea. I mean, I'd say Ronald Jones for the upside. I'd say Edelman for the safety. I'd lean toward Edelman, but just there's so much category 2 this week. There's so much category 2. It's just crushing how much stuff we don't know. We have 371 people watching right now. And actually, we've only had 194 people like the video. Could everyone who hasn't liked it, you'd be doing me a favor. Let's pause for a moment. I'll go a little extra long. Let's pause for a moment. And if I get the likes up to 250, if I get the likes up to 250, I'll keep going. I'm at 211 already. We're 224. Very close. 236. 250. Well done. I'm going to keep going. Let's see. Ooh, I lost it. It scrolls fast. Kevin says, Buenos tardes desde Ecuador. Thank you for all your content. By the way, how's your Spanish? I know you at least know the word basura. My Spanish is high school level of Spanish. It's not great. I can comprehend someone speaking slowly because I get every third word, right? But the moment it becomes a regular conversational Spanish, I'm like, subtitles. It's high school, and I haven't really used it much since. Graham says, how deep of a deep bench is too deep? Do you ever try to supercharge your main roster? I had McLaurin on my bench before the Galladay injury, and Ingram is currently on my bench. Well, I'll tell you what, this year of all years maybe is a season to indulge in keeping keeping your deep bench because, boy, we still don't know, right? Week to week, we could get some really bad surprises. We might get a 49ers Cardinals game canceled tomorrow for a totally different reason. It feels to me like your bench. I mean, if I understand where the question comes from because it makes your lineup decisions annoying. I like that guy. I like that guy. Wish he was Christian McCaffrey. That would make my life easier. For sure. I get it. I wouldn't be worrying about it right now. It's much more for once we get a few weeks into the season. But I never like to completely overhaul my roster for the only because I'm sick of making lineup calls and I feel like I always make the wrong one. Like that feels like not the right reason to do it. But if there's a trade offer out there that gets you Michael Thomas, and you're giving up a player you're using and a player you're not using, you do feel like you win. I get that for sure. Let's see. So I see Wesley is asking a quarterback question. I see Steven says, Viva Ecuador, by the way. Samuel says, I can't double like. That's okay. Co is asking a quarterback question. If you have quarterback question, if you have running back question, single position question, just go over to harrisfootball.com. Their bully says, thoughts on AJ Green? I mean, I don't know any more than you do, but the thoughts are he sure has a lot of upside for sure. I have no more information about how they'll use him. Is he really healthy? Does he still have the stuff that he had before all these injuries? He's getting older for sure. Every single bit of information I do. Players who have that kind of ideal upside usually don't come around in the whatever round you had to take them. You know what I mean? So it was an investment. Now that you have him, I think it's worth waiting and seeing. And in some cases, maybe even using him. You can see where I have him ranked in the wide receiver ranks. But you don't usually get that kind of upside with a guy who gets drafted where he got drafted. But you also don't usually get the kind of downside because he could give you nothing. Daniel asks a wide receiver question, so go over to harrisfootball.com. Let's see. We got 271 likes now. We're good. Let's see. Are you starting Odell Beckham this week or waiting to see what his production looks like? I'm torn between him and Keenan Allen. So Kirk, for the actual rank, go to the harrisfootball.com. You'll see the rank. I'm pretty sure I have Beckham higher. But the larger question of a player who's drafted as highly and has as much obvious upside as we know that Beckham does, do I want to wait? I don't. If I drafted him, I'm probably using Odell Beckham. I did draft him in a few spots. I am using Odell Beckham. Even though I understand last year was a disaster and we're making this nesty plunge, we're making this leap again and not knowing if anything's better. We could have a really miserable story on Monday. It's not a good matchup for sure. Let's see. What do we got? Daniel says, how do you feel about Tyrod Taylor this year? Will the Chargers be a top 15 offense? So I don't know if they'll be a top 15 offense, but I'll answer the question with a yes or a no, and I'll say no. Tyrod Taylor is a quite a bit below average thrower, quite a bit below, not arm strength wise, but just running an offense. He's very, very conservative to who he throws it to. Not always all that accurate. I'm not all that into him as a thrower. And his appeal fantasy wise was in Buffalo, obviously about the running. He had that. I had amnesia, but he did have a top 10 fantasy season in Buffalo, not because of his throwing. He had Sammy Watkins for one. But Watkins is one good year in Buffalo, but his appeal really mostly comes from the running. But no, I think the Chargers have potential to be bad. I think that the defense should be better, but losing Derwin James not great. Don't really love the quarterback. I think I'm fading the Chargers a little bit. But not all their fantasy players, just as a team. Let's see. Ralph says, I have Edwards-Helaire in almost all my leagues. Should I be excited about the goal line work touches or disappointed that they didn't amount to any touchdowns? Well, I think both. I think if if it turns out the Chiefs are committed to this and every time they get down there, it's still going to be him, then you should be excited. But I don't know that. I wouldn't expect that a big, easy win in which Edwards-Helaire played great otherwise. I wouldn't imagine week 2, Andy Reid goes, I've seen enough. This kid can't play on the goal line. We need to change it up. Like, my guess is, I mean, they were probably just trying to get the kid another touchdown. And, I'm going to guess you should probably be happier than sad. It was an obvious illustration of his limitations, which isn't to say he won't ever score on the goal line, but he's very, very small. And anybody who hits him squarely is going to get him down. And that's where you get hit squarely most, on the goal line. But, Aaron Jones is a little bigger. Aaron Jones has more meat to him, but Aaron Jones scored 19. Aaron Jones had goal line touchdown after goal line touchdown last year. Like, a smaller guy, can happen. So I don't necessarily think they're going to make a change going into week 2. Mark says, do you think Zach Moss just takes over the Bills running back position, or is he just the Frank Gore role? It's another category too. Like, I have literally no more information than you do. And not only that, but it's about a rookie running back. And so I'm not really a college scout. From what I know about Zach Moss as a college prospect, which is mostly from asking my friends on the show, on the podcast, what about Zach Moss? What do you like or not like about Zach Moss? I think he's being overrated a little bit. I think he's a big guy who has some ability to move. He's, maybe not quite Jordan Howard, but I don't think we're going to wind up thinking of him as a really dynamic player. I could be 100% wrong. Never seen him play in the NFL. A little ready to see it tomorrow, and then I'll start making some calls. But I really like Devin Singletary, what he looked like last year. So for the moment, I'm kind of, maybe it's not quite just the Frank Gore role, but I kind of think it wasn't broke and they won't fix it, and that Singletary will be the number 1 running back and Zach Moss will be the number 2 running back. That's what I think going into, but I don't know anything. I know nothing. We don't know. They're not going to tell us until they actually do it. They're clearly, Moss, among the beat reporters in Buffalo, has some big fans, because all those blurbs are, if Devin Singletary fumbles, watch out. If they get into a situation where they need a big back, watch out. That's every Roto World blurb, right? And I just think in the end, we don't know until we see it. Let's see. MK says, do you think Carlos Hyde will split the backfield? That's not how I'm grading it for the moment. He'll probably play. Rashad Penny played, right? He'll play, but my guess is no. Again, workload question, injury question. I don't know anything more than you do, right? So I'm willing to give you my guess. And I just did, but I also don't know. I just flat don't know. We're going to know when we know. Chris Carson is a better player than Carlos Hyde. I think Seattle's been awfully loyal to Chris Carson through some fumbling issues and through. Hard for me to imagine they just go into this year and go, yeah, Chris Carson, we stuck by you all those times when we maybe, other people thought we wouldn't, but now we have Carlos Hyde. We have to use him. My guess is Hyde gets used, but I would feel better about Carson for sure. Jonathan says, thoughts on Jonnu Smith and Tennessee's backfield? I mean, I don't have too many thoughts on Tennessee's backfield. Derrick Henry's going to get the workload. Jonnu Smith, I saw the blurb, like, they think he's a top 5 tight end, which is, I guess, better than the story where they say, they think he's a top 30 tight end. Great. I'm sure they think their player is a good player. I would like to see them throw it to him more. If they do, then I'll get super excited. He belongs in that list of really athletic tight ends who we've already seen do freaky athletic things on the field, who haven't yet seen volume enough for us to feel awesome about using them every week. And there are about 7 or 8 of those guys, and a couple of them are probably going to pop, and Smith might be one of them. He has the ability to do it. It's going to come down to, do they trust him and throw it to him enough? They didn't last year. So I'm okay if you have him. I'm okay if you start him. But I'm also okay that if you, after 1 week, don't see the production and you see it from someone else, that you go chasing the next Darren Waller, that you go chasing Ian Thomas or Irv Smith or Noah Fant or whatever. It's going to be fine to just see if you can find someone who can do something for your team every week. Click that like button. says numbers never lie. Thank you. Numbers never lie. Appreciate that. Joe says, breaking news, Debo is on IR. Yeah, that's a bummer. I mean, it always did feel like it was optimistic because of the foot surgery. It's a pretty major foot surgery that came, in June, I think? Always seemed, although remember that IR is only 3 games this year. So that doesn't necessarily crush it unless you're telling me he's on a long-term IR, which would be more of a bummer. So Debo doesn't become completely new. All leagues, he has to be dropped if he's only missing 3 games. But it always seemed unlikely that a guy who had that surgery, I didn't rank him this week. Brandon Ayuk, I wish he was healthy because I think he does kind of a Debo tribute act. I think it's sort of similar. They can do similar things with him. I would like him to be healthier. I would feel better. I did put Ayuk in the ranks though. 3-game IR, those guys are saying. Yeah, so there you go. There you go. I'm getting tired. I'm getting a little tired. It's been an hour and 37 minutes. We're up to 290 likes, but there's 347 people watching. So I'm sure that we could get to 315 on the likes. We have to be able to, right? We have to. We're already at 297. I'm going to guess we can. We can get to, we're at 307. I know we can. This is amazing. 312. Oh my God, this is so cool. 316, we did it. I happen to have this thing, which I haven't played in a month, and I don't remember any songs, and it's probably out of tune. It's definitely out of tune. Oi. It's definitely out of tune. Can you guys hear that? Can you guys hear this? All right, you can. You can hear it. Drew says he plays drums and I play guitar. We can form a band. Absolutely, except for you probably play drums better than I play the guitar, is my guess. CJ says it's not a Harris live stream without being held hostage for likes. It's true. Daniel says Tevin Coleman is a turkey mayo. Yeah, it is out of tune, Chris. You're right. It's very much out of tune. So out of tune, that string. This is my go-to. Y'all singing? So you think I can tell heaven from hell, skies from rain. Steven says, please explain the possum reference. Why possums? Why so many possums? It's so stupid. The whole thing is so stupid. It came down to a trivia question. It was a trivia question that my buddy Nick and his wife and I got wrong, and Andy Behrens was on the show the next Wednesday morning, and I asked him if he would have gotten the trivia question wrong, and he did, and it was about, the answer was possums, and apropos of nothing, before we started recording, he said, I effing hate possums. I hate them. I hate possums. It was irrational how much he hated them. So I was like, this is hilarious. I'm going to hit record. So I hit record and we talked about possums for 5 minutes, why he hated them so much. I didn't think anything more of it because it was funny. And the possum lobby on Twitter went crazy. People went crazy. Rohit, my friend Rohit here in LA, went crazy. Like, possums are great. They're great for the environment. They're great. I asked Josh the next day whether he likes possums. He's like, I hate them. So somehow it transformed into that I had a pet possum, which I do, obviously. I always did, but you guys didn't know that. If you have a single position, say orange, say egg. Say egg, say orange. Say egg, say orange. Am I doing it right? Am I missing something? I am confused by the peñas. I am confused. We have like 200. Did people hear about this concert? Now at 293. Oh, it just went to 288. People are like, oh, it's a concert? I'm out of here. Hit the egg for the sub. Hit egg. Hit the egg. Yeah, subscribe. Subscribe and hit the egg. Good point. It's a good point, Joseph. Thank you. I didn't understand. What do I know how to play? What should I play? Why is Alyssa saying orange over and over? Is there something? I'm very orange hair and orange guitar. It's true. Kevin says, what's a crutch argument that's so irritating that if a guest used it on your show, you might think of selling the yacht, dropping off the possum at the pound, and riding off into the sunset? I had one guest, and I'm not going to ever say who it was. If you listened to the show way back in 2015, you might remember. No, you probably don't remember. He's only been on once, though. And he said something along the lines of, I don't know, man. I don't have time to watch all the film. I pretty much just look at the box score on a lot of these things. And I literally, once the interview was done, had to stop and cut that part of the conversation out because it was impossible to have it on the show, right? Because it would have been a whole thing. I'd have been like, wait, you what? And it would have had to been like a debate on the nature of the universe, and I couldn't do it. So that person has not been back. That was not great. Joseph says, what are we doing with our lives? That's fair. That's a fair question. It is all rather silly. Play Aha's Take on Me. I have no idea how to play that song. I'd rather have Jay Cutler I can do, though. How do you play that song? I'd rather have Jay Cutler. I'd rather have Jay Cutler than Alex Smith. He is such a dink-dunker. I don't remember the rest of the. I remember that's 5 years ago. I remember the lyrics a little bit. A little bit. Mike, you might be right. Mike, it's possible that you're right. That's all I'm going to say. It's possible. I'm just going to say that it's possible. Alyssa is saying bye. Bye, Alyssa. Orange. I don't know why, but orange. Mike, you might be right. I just said you might be right. It's possible. I couldn't think of a name. Says, if Galladay is out tomorrow, is Stafford a must bench? Maybe you could make that argument. I probably wasn't that thrilled about using him anyway. So, Superflex, you might not have a choice. But if you were maybe going to use him as like a late round quarterback who you took when you waited on quarterback, I could see it. I think it's a fair point. Michael says, give us what we need. Give us Brittany. Except for it's not Brittany, right? It's Travis. Oh, baby, baby, how was I supposed to know? Something wasn't right, yeah. Oh, pretty baby, let go. Now you're out of sight. now I have more likes than people are watching this, which means a lot of people have left, which I understand. Play something by The Residents. I don't know any songs by The Residents. They have eyeballs on their heads, I think, right? Michael says this YouTube show is so stupid. No argument at all. Douglas says, is Tulsa ever going to be available for the Nook? I don't think it is. I think they probably have picked their distribution platforms. Yeah, the music is insane, says Uncle Moon, who wanted The Residents. How do you play that? Anybody? No? Anybody? I'm losing audience members fast. Anybody? Anybody? Anya says she's going to play the drums along with me. Okay, that's good, Dave. Say hi to Anya for me. The Cure, EJ got it. Yes, EJ. It was, in fact, what, Friday I'm in Love? Play Sonic Youth. Chris does a fantasy football live stream just so he can play guitar. How else would I get an audience? Clearly, that is the case. Yes, that was Queen, Casey, indeed. What do I know? What do I know by Spoon off the top of my head? Do I know anything? I have some tabs for Spoon. Let's see if we can find a Spoon tab that I can play on this new computer that I can't find anything. How about I could do the Underdog or Underdog. Picture yourself in the living room, popping sip to set out for you. I know you think that it ain't too far, but I hear the call of a lifetime ring, but the need to get over it. Cut out the middleman, you're free from the middleman. You got no time for the messenger, got no regard for the thing that you don't understand. You got no fear of the underdog, that's why you will not survive. Dave Hewitt texting me. Need horn. Spoon. That's right, Fletcher. Spoon. Rocky Raccoon. I can't play. I can play Blackbird though. Like singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you're only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly, into the light of a dark black night. Somebody said Beatles. Hey, don't complain. Somebody says Beatles. How about those waffles? Neutral Milk Hotel. I don't think I have any of those. Caleb's very into waffles, though. I'll tell you that much. I don't know a lot, but I know that much. All right, well, it seems like we're losing steam here. 2 hours of our lives we'll never get back. Talking about stupid fantasy football, listening to stupid guitars, and a guy in a Yacht Possums t-shirt. Pretty stupid. People of the Possum. Mac over Diggs. Or do you like the Colts injuries scare you off of Mac? I guess that's for other people, not for me. I do know some new songs, but you know. Hey Peter. Hey Peter, Evangelicus, how are you? Marcos is like, how are you not playing Mars Volta? Nick says Foo Fighters. I can do a Foo Fighters song, right? I think. Let me look it up just to not screw it up. But I do know it. I know it. Hold on. Let's see. Where are they? I know this one. This one I know. Yeah. It's I'm in the sky tonight, where I can keep by your side, watching the wild roll by, hanging out. I'll be coming next to words. Catch me if I get too high. How does it go? Come on, get on. Take it till life runs out. No one can find us now, living with our heads on the ground. Yeah, man. Foo Fighters. I know another Foo Fighters song though, don't I? I thought I did. Maybe not. Oh yeah. It's too hard. I have to workshop it. Yeah. Everlong. Abort. Abort. All right, guys. I think we're good. Guess you, Nick says, guess you have nothing left to lose, less to lose, but I think you meant left to lose. Would have been a funnier joke, Nick. Not to workshop your joke, but you know. Damien Rice, Glenn Hansard. I think I knew that Falling Slowly song once upon a time. Who's that by? I forget. Who's it officially by? I don't remember. Anyway. Story to remain untold. All the promises we made, from the cradle to the grave. When I want is you. Do we have anybody? Do we have anybody who recognizes that song? Anybody? One person. I realize there's only like one person left here, but one person. I haven't played that song in a long time. Nobody's heard me play that song before. I know it. Probably in the world. All I Want Is You. Lucas got it right. Lucas, you're smart. You got it. Not that other people aren't smart, but they're not smart like Lucas. One more. There's still 150 people here. You must not hate that much. What else do I have? Oh, man. Can I remember how to play this song? Oh, man. It's going to be a disaster. I'm supposed to tune it differently, too? Oh, God. Give me a second. I'm going to get it. Weezer, correct. I got to figure it out, though. Now it's a challenge. I can't figure out that last little part there. What the heck? Oh, that's it. All right. I figured it out. Never mind. Yeah. Didn't figure it out that much. I screwed it up. It's rough. Viola's here. happy to see you. Well, we're 2 hours in. The concert has been about 15 minutes, Viola. You missed all the football, which is probably fine. Is Dave Piper here? I don't think he is, right? I hope he's not. I can't tell whether you're watching this and enjoying it out of pity or out of enjoyment or out of amusement that someone would abase themselves so, but the funny part is that what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I'm not going anywhere once this is done. People are watching out of self-loathing. It's self-punishment. It's self-flagellation. I will watch this. All right, that's probably going to do it. I appreciate you. It was really fun. Good luck with your lineups tomorrow. I will keep updating the ranks at harrisfootball.com, and I will do my best to process the Miles Sanders news and whatever other stuff that we get. You'll find reflected in the ranks. Of course, I do not know workload any better than you do. I swear I don't. And I don't know timeshares, and I don't know injuries, and I just don't know. There's a way to completely avoid risk, and it is to never play anybody ever. Don't play fantasy. There's risk in life, and there's risk in fantasy, and we have very imperfect information. So I'll do my best in the ranks, but if you have a different feeling, if you process the news differently, if you process risk differently, then you should definitely manage your lineup the way that you feel most comfortable. Thank you. It was really fun. For those of you in Film Don't Lie, I will talk to you, do this again tomorrow, maybe a little less guitar. And otherwise, I'll talk to you on the podcast on Monday. We'll have a waiver show for you on Monday night on the YouTube channel. Go do the bookmaker contest, bookmaker.net, open an account, bookmakercontest.com, enter your account number, and then you'll play $5 with us. It's fun. Do it. It's fun. Thank you. See ya. Bye.